Well, this is just fantastic now, isn't it? Uh, Texas has certainly been on a bit of a roll lately, haven't they? A top administrator with the Carroll Independent School District in Southlake advised teachers last week that if they have a book about the Holocaust in their classroom, which, most decent history classrooms are going to have, they should also offer students access to a book from an opposing perspective, whatever that's supposed to mean. We all know what that means. It's the world's worst kept secret, that one. Now, this is incredible. A bit of a politics 101 lesson for, all these Texas officials. This is the kind of thing you need to ease people into a little bit more. You know what I mean? You don't just go from, zero to Holocaust denial, right off the bat. You gotta work in some in-betweens, you gotta maybe add in some things about the immigrants or something like that. Kind of start with something a little bit easier to digest than outright neo-Nazism. You save that part for later. By the way, I want people to understand something. This was always the point of the whole CRT, critical race theory, moral panic. It wasn't. It's pushed by bad actors and grifters. It was never about like legitimate concern of anti-white racism in the classrooms or whatever they were coming up with. This was always the end goal. It's why Texas doesn't want a letter from a Birmingham jail, the I had a dream speech taught in schools anymore either. They're like, well, we want to give people the option to kind of phase that out. You wouldn't want those like nasty parts of history that may, paint some of America's past in a little bit of a worse light. You can't have any of that taught. That's so that's a little bit of wrong think right there. You don't want to have a wrong think right there. And by the way, where the protest over this? Like, you have all these protests across the country in school board meetings of crazed parents that have been driven into a frenzy by, whatever nonsense they read on Facebook about critical race theory being taught in, like, a second grade classroom, which, of course, is a really common thing that happens everywhere. Now, I think outright Holocaust denial and the attempt to teach it to our children in school, like, they just admitted it. This isn't a secret. It was a secret recording. I mean, I guess it was a secret, but I guess I think that was a step too far for some of the people in the meeting. So again, the whole thing about kind of easing people into this stuff. But there should be protest over this because it's not going to end here. This is never where it stopped. This is just one small step for fascist kind over here. We're eventually going to reach a point, and people are going to think this is hyperbole. It's not. Give it time. Where they're going to start teaching in a lot of these red states that slavery, was a good thing. Because, hey, we brought all those Africans from the squalor of the continent over to, our grand paradise in America. Yeah, maybe they had to work a little hard for it, but in the end, weren't they better off? Give it time. It will not take long. We can't keep doing this. Like, we really are gonna have to have a conversation about how deranged some of these like deep red state governments are getting. We have literal bounties for women that try to get an abortion. We have the whole election integrity thing, which election integrity. More newspeak. Texas, I swear.